started. Is there anybody? I know originally it was set for my office, but I guess the lighting's better here.
Yeah, I guess so. David. Yeah. Keep jumping.
I'll do a mic check. Gilbert Montaño, Gilbert, BRT. I'm waiting for these guys.
Wait on Andrew. Please. Wait down the city.
Thanks.
All right. Publicize Andrew, Mr. Dillon. Is everybody good? Rolling? All right.
Gilbert, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of explain the administration's role in kind of working out this deal.
Sure. Well, first, thank you all. I know we called maybe 30 minutes ago, and I appreciate the time and the energy and the effort to be able to discuss this. And as you all know, and as we've anticipated and discussed, this is a top priority for the administration, for the city, and all stakeholders involved, and it continues to be. It has got very complex, and there's been a lot of different dynamics and associations, but at the end of the day, sometimes how the sausage is made gets a little bit ugly. What we are working toward, and I believe what we've finalized and what we're sending to the City Council is a $14 million budget appropriation through our capital funds. Now, I do want to highlight that this is not new money. We're not creating new money. These are projects that are going to be a little bit more delayed, but because of the necessity and the resources that are needed at this period, at this point, despite all the things that have happened over the course of time, that's the past, we're moving forward. We continue to make this a priority, so we have cobbled together the $14 million to be able to address that gap. My understanding is that Sewage and Water Board will make up the delta of that money, and we will move forward to be able to, we hope and anticipate, seal the deal for the final funding of the power complex. And it should be a very proud and exciting moment, and we hope and anticipate that we're going to get there.
Was there some hope that the state would have contributed more money? And when we're talking about this $17 million in local dollars, that could have come from either the city or the state.
Yeah, I think that hope's still there. I think that there continues to be great dialogue and great interactions and great work that we're having both with our local legislators, the governor's office, and the entire legislature. No one denies, and everyone knows, New Orleans is the economic impulse of the entire state, and it's an international city, and it should be protected and highlighted as stored. Because I know the care and the love for the city, we know that there is a great amount of interest and desire to continue to move toward the solution for this issue. The thing that we want to highlight, and why you're seeing the money coming directly now, is timing. We do not want the delay of maybe a state capital outlay apportionment or some other type of cash enhancement, whatnot. We want to make sure the money's ready to go so that we can move forward. But to directly answer your question, I think the partnership continues to be lock solid, and we hope and anticipate that that doesn't mean the end of not having some opportunities to continue to work with the state to address these funding needs. I think we all know this isn't the only issue Sewage and Water Board is going to need funding for at some period at some time. These are 100-year-old systems. Things hold on together in an antiquated way. So we know this isn't the last of the needs for the Sewage and Water Board.
Who should get the credit for putting together this deal?
I think the citizens of New Orleans. This is a high priority. I think every one of the citizens in New Orleans notifies the mayor, the council, this legislator, the governor, and made it as a top priority. So I give credit to all the citizens. They notify you all on these issues, and flooding is flooding and crime. I mean, those are vital issues for continuity of a city to have the splendor that New Orleans does provide. So I give credit to the.
This morning when.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
That's okay. That was my closing moment too.
I thought you were.
It's okay. I lost my train of thought. No, go ahead.
Okay. What changed between this morning when the mayor said that she didn't know, where the city didn't know where the money was going to come from, and now? Was there some kind of discussion this afternoon, or what happened?
And I'll be very, very candid and honest. I wasn't at that meeting. I've since seen some dialogue and some quotes or whatnot. So I don't know exactly what was from the perspective she was saying. I know in every meeting that I've ever had with her, in every meeting or any discussion that we've ever had collectively, this is a priority. We need to get it funded. We need to figure this out. And over the last 2 weeks, she's directed staff to figure this out. Now, we've certainly worked with the council, we've worked with the state, we've worked with the governor's office. We've frankly as of even yesterday, met with the business community to help address some of these issues. So this has been on the tip of every spear, I think, collectively. So it's always been a initiative, a plan, a directive from the mayor to get this figured out and done. And we needed a little time to make sure that, as I said, in that zero-sum game, where we could most pull the money from that won't impact the residents in their other infrastructure needs, and how you cobble together such a significant amount of money.
Where are you pulling?
The capital program.
I mean, which projects are?
Specifically, it's probably a collection of about 15 different projects. And the way we evaluated those projects are, how can we continue work on a specific project, whether that's through design, through infrastructure, through some of the original planning process, or actually early stages of construction, and still have enough money. And I'll be very honest and candid too, that New Orleans needs to go back out for another bonding opportunity. There is no doubt in my mind. Now, what I will say to qualify that does not require tax raises. 500 million that was passed in 2019, that money is almost spent. A city across the country has some cadence of infrastructure dollars, typically on a biannual process. So you'll see cities across the country have a capital program of anywhere between 1 and 200 million every 2 years, so that you can plan accordingly. New Orleans has not had that. There has kind of been one large pot here, one large pot here, and then you spend it out, and then you watch it. There's not been a good planning process. So what we continue to work on, even with the council and the administration and all those collective agencies, is to plan for a future bond issuance. Our debt capacity is to what we have financially managed to have a large opportunity for that bonding capacity, so that is coming in the near future. So when I say that we are delaying some projects, that's with the anticipation and the hope that we can prove to voters to support another bond issuance that will not raise taxes, but will still provide those quality basic infrastructure needs that are so dire for the city.
I mean, can you say a few of the projects that aren't going to be funded now, or?
Well, sure. I mean,
are there any timelines? I mean, just, think about it from a citizen's point of view.
Sure.
Are there any particular timeframes that at this moment of projects that are of high interest that are
No.
expected at a certain time?
No, there's no. I do not think a citizen's going to realize. There's no major impactful projects that are being delayed, and that's why we had to be we had to scrutinize those projects very directly. I think we will have all the construction. It doesn't affect Super Bowl planning, doesn't affect some of the other high-level important consent decree projects or anything of the sort. But cobbling together that money, either with old bond funds or these bond funds, was a challenge, and I think we're meeting that challenge.
Rick, do you have?
That was fine. Next.
I just had a question too, Gilbert. I know earlier on in these conversations about this power complex, there was talk of Intergy possibly stepping in and funding this. So how did we get from that to where we are today?
Well, I don't know the conversations about the Intergy. I know on my calendar I have other meetings with Intergy and Sewage and Water Board, and there's a whole plethora of different dynamics. I think where and why we got to where we are today is that this is a top priority, and it has to be funded. It has to be managed in a way that it remains a top priority, especially for the timeline moving forward. And because of that is why you see everything kind of happening today. And whether or not Intergy is involved or not involved, the state involved, everybody cares about this. No one, I feel, is trying to have defer the need for this project. It's just a matter and the complexity of how. And I'm confident and comfortable that we have a how. That doesn't mean that we are not going to be without something else in order to fund this how, but at the same time, we recognize and support this moving forward.
Can you say when the deal was finalized, or the outlines? Like when did you figure out where that 14 million was coming from, and everyone agreed that this was going to be?
I think that, this has been about a week and a half of work. It's really been about a week and a half of work ever since the delta originally came up of this 17 million and what it means and what it works on, and some of the conversations with the state and whatnot. I think we all started working for different case scenarios, whether it was going to be a $10 million ask, a $7 million ask, a $17 million ask, a $5 million. So we had different scenarios that we were trying to solve and figure out. I think the latest was just let's put the money on the table. And then let's not worry about who else can contribute at this point because the project's that important and we don't want to get behind schedule to get this done. Now, that doesn't mean, as someone asked prior, we're not going to go and continue the partnerships with others that have anticipated or wanted to provide some amount of funding. Because, like I said, the need is going to be there and the need will be there. It's just a matter of us making sure that this gets done as soon as possible.
All right, guys, we need to wrap up and get Gilbert back to another briefing, but thanks a lot for coming on short notice. I know it's news time. And
I'll close one more time. Is that all right if I just do one close? I felt like I was all over the place, maybe directly answering questions. And as I said, I know that there has been a lot of punctuation marks on this particular project. We realize as an administration, the mayor just recently briefed that this remains a priority. Everybody cares incredible amounts for this project. I think the citizens need it. We will and we do prioritize it, and we will continue to work with all entities, whether that's the council, whether that's the state legislature, of course the mayor, and federal officials and the like. This is too important to get lost in some of the loudness.
thank you all. Appreciate it, guys.